Kanika Jenkins on September the 9th, 2017. The facts and circumstances regarding Kanika's death are not entirely clear. That's primarily because there have been no adequate answers given for why or how Kanika was not identified or found wandering in the Crowne Plaza Hotel on the early morning hours of September 9th. Why and how, although video surveillance cameras clearly indicate that Kanika was wandering into an area under construction that had a operating walk-in freezer and cooler, and why and how, in spite of the fact that Kanika's family and friends were at the hotel from the moment she disappeared until the moment her body was found, almost a full day later, more than a full day later, why this tragedy unfolded. Kanika, as you know, came to the hotel as a guest in the early morning hours of September the 9th. She apparently was intoxicated and wandered from the room and wandered throughout the hotel. Video surveillance at the hotel clearly shows Kanika wandering throughout the hotel. At approximately 3:30, and I'm not being exact, video surveillance shows her entering a kitchen area that's under construction. That's the Murray Brothers Caddyshack restaurant that's now been open since that time. That kitchen, the door was unsecured. The walk-in freezer and refrigerator were obviously unlocked. And at some point, Kanika walked into the freezer. The door closed behind her, and over a period of hours, she froze to death. What's very concerning is that we have evidence that at some point, because she was clearly on video surveillance, at some point that somebody secured the doors to the kitchen area and to the freezer compartment where she died. These photographs, first of all, show this is the construction site into the kitchen, and this was taken after her body was found, but there's clearly the ability to lock the entire kitchen off, and this was taken by a member of the family. However, what's most concerning also is that the freezer door has a lock on it. This is a lock that you can prevent somebody from the inside from getting out if it's pressed. And we believe that it's very possible that this door, for reasons that we cannot explain, without ever looking in the freezer, someone came and locked this freezer door so that Kanika could not exit the door. Now, there have not been adequate answers that have been provided by the Crowne Plaza Hotel. We have the police report. We have what they've described to us as the video, and the most revealing place in the video is that we see Kanika entering this kitchen that it was under construction at 3:30. We know that the Crowne Plaza and the security company knew that she was missing at that very time, that they were reporting to the family that they were doing their best to find her. All they had to do was look on the video, and they would see that Kanika was wandering the hotel, and they would see that she had wandered into the kitchen. There is no explanation that we've received at this time why Crowne Plaza, why the security company, and why the Caddyshack Murray Brothers restaurant didn't do anything for nearly a day and a half, and that her body supposedly lay there until it was allegedly discovered, I believe, at about 12:30 a.m. the next day. And by the way, then her body stayed there for nearly 5 hours while the family waited to find out what had happened to Kanika. So we expect to get all that information during this pretrial discovery process. The complaint's been filed. The defendants have an opportunity now to answer the complaint. And we will get in due time a full incident reports filed by these defendants plus their insurance companies. We'll get the videotape. They say they've given it to us, but we want to make sure we have all of it. We will get all of their reports, and we'll be able to take the testimony of the security guards and all the Crowne Plaza employees so that we fully understand why this tragedy occurred and how it can be prevented. What's most concerning about this case right now from our perspective is the Crowne Plaza knew immediately, not many hours later, immediately. She was reported by her friends and then her family, and her family was there at the Crowne Plaza on at least 3 occasions camping out, to the point where the Crowne Plaza called the police on the family because the family was so concerned about Kanika's whereabouts. Why, under these circumstances, when Kanika is clearly visible on security cameras, walking into an area where she was eventually found later frozen to death, what happened at this point? That's a mystery that will unfold during the processes. It'll generally take several years to resolve this case, and I appreciate it. If you've got any questions, I'll be free to answer them, and Theresa would be available to answer just briefly any questions you have.
Mr. Fire, could you explain that mechanism on the freezer again?
Sure. This is right here is a lock. It can be pressed down and it can secure the door, preventing anybody from the inside from exiting. It would effectively lock this door. And we believe that that door may have been locked from the outside because there's no other explanation why her body wasn't discovered. It's very possible that security people at the hotel knew she was missing, just looked into the kitchen under construction, saw that it wasn't secured, and started locking the doors and then left, and came back later to find, well, we've just locked in Kanika.
So you're not saying that you believe that they did this on purpose?
No, there's absolutely no evidence that anybody did anything on purpose, and I don't believe it. There'd be no reason to do it. I think it's pure and utter negligence. No suggestion whatsoever that anybody did harm to Theresa on purpose. What's more likely is that through pure negligence, someone noticed that the doors in the kitchen were open. They locked them like they should have been locked. They locked the freezer, and unfortunately they locked Kanika into the freezer and resulted in her death.
You say that you haven't decided how much you'll be seeking from the Crowne Plaza, whether 50 or 100 million. What does that depend on?
It depends on the facts of the case. The state has what we call punitive damages. Her pain and suffering during the period of time from the time that she was locked in the freezer until the time she passed away, and the losses to her family. Those are all things that we'll consider and a jury would consider in this case.
Theresa, if we may have you just
Sure.
You need to move
That's
this
fine.
microphone. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm blessed.
What do you hope will come of this lawsuit?
Justice. I've been seeking justice from the beginning, and that was my purpose of seeking out from Mr. Fiver.
Obviously, your family family, Kanika's friends, from the very beginning, you've felt that the hotel just did not do its job. Can you just speak a little bit to that?
Well, I feel like I was asked if I had answers. I was seeking for answers, and trying to find my daughter. I have not received help until now.
Let's be clear. When Theresa indicates she's seeking answers, Theresa was notified by Kanika's friends at 4:30 in the morning. Kanika had been walked out of the room about 2:30. And so the hotel was on notice at about 2:30 because the friends first went to the hotel, said, our friend is missing, she's in the hotel somewhere. Then the family became involved, Theresa. They started to call the hotel. They showed up at the hotel numerous times. They showed up at the hotel so many times that the hotel called the police on the family. So when Theresa is commenting about finding out what happened, to this day, the hotel hasn't adequately explained why. Because she was there so many times over a period of nearly an entire day before Kanika was found. What was going on there?
Teresa, at this point, it's been more than a year. Talk to us just about how your life has changed without your daughter.
My life will never be the same. I don't know if you have children or not, but I birthed my daughter. And to know that I had to bury my child because of someone, I couldn't receive help, but maybe if I could have received this help, she could be here today. It hurts. It's a pain that I can't even explain. I don't even understand.
Sorry, if I may ask again about the freezer. Do you know the manufacturer of that?
No, I don't. But I think it's a very common design, and I think it can be secured. It can be locked from the outside. And if it is locked from the outside, I don't believe you can exit from the inside. But again, that's something that we've got to determine. We do know that the doors, we have photographs of the doors locked. And this was at a time when Theresa was waiting, and the family was waiting for word on Kanika. These pictures were taken by Theresa's brother during the time that they were waiting for some answers. He didn't really get permission. He just went down to the area where Kanika was and took these pictures. So it's clear that the area could have been secured. It's clear it may have been secured while she was already in there. Because remember, she was missing for 24 hours.
He took the pictures.
The hotel allegedly
without
did
permission going
an
into
inspection and looked for her.
Did he
Well, I
mess with
suspect
this
at some
button?
point that they secured those doors with her inside. I don't know for sure, but
Why
I'm going to
wasn't he on
find
the
out.
video camera
I guess what you're saying is
showing
just
that he went in
so
there and came out
that
after
what they
taking
started
pictures?
to do is just
Wow.
Remember, we're not talking quick enough. We're talking 24 hours. They were notified, and they have a security staff. They were notified almost immediately. They were notified before Kanika, we know, wandered into the restaurant. Or I should say the restaurant's kitchen. We know Kanika left and was reported missing about 2:30. We know on videotape that she didn't enter that unsecured construction area in the kitchen of that restaurant hotel until about 3:30. We know that's on video. So there's no explanation why for 24 hours she laid there. There's no explanation. And that's one of the things Theresa and I want to find out. What the heck happened for 24 hours? And was she locked in there and suffered a fate worse than death, being locked into a freezer until you die? I want to know those answers because that's as probable as anything else. There's no explanation why, in light of a missing person and the family camping out at the hotel and the police being called 4 times and the hotel having it on videotape, why in 24 hours nobody ever looked into that unsecured restaurant and that freezer. Or, it's possible, someone unwittingly saw doors open, locked them, and locked her in unwittingly.
In reading this, it looks like you also say that the hotel and Capitol Security was aware there was some sort of party, too many people in a room.
They were aware from the very beginning. People were aware that there was a party going on in that hotel, that a smoke detector, probably because pot was being smoked in the room, had been disabled. And security guards, we know from interviewing some of the witnesses, security guards had been up in that room and had known that that a party was taking place. This wasn't an event that the hotel wasn't aware of. The hotel has security guards. The security guards had been up in that room. The hotel was advised that she was missing by 2:30, which is about an hour and a half after she arrived at the hotel. We have her on videotape throughout that period of time wandering around the hotel. We know where she last ended up, and yet they did nothing, and they knew people were looking for her. What the heck was going on there? What, for 24 hours? That doesn't happen. If you got a missing person, you got an Amber Alert for a child, although this is a little older. Why isn't anybody doing anything? That's our concern. I want to thank you very much, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. And remember, please, just no reporting on the location.
I'm sorry.
You can use that. Yeah.
To ask again about the leftover.
Are saying is that the hotel and security staff were aware of Kenneka Jenkins' disappearance from the party she was at for an hour before she even entered the hotel restaurant's freezer. It is an area that was under construction and which they say should have been locked to begin with.
Justice. I've been seeking justice from the beginning.
Sitting alongside her attorney, Theresa Martin quietly described the pain she's endured since losing her daughter, Kenneka Jenkins. The 19-year-old last seen stumbling through the corridors of O'Hara's Crowne Plaza Hotel in the early morning hours of September 9th, 2017. Her body found some 20 hours later inside a hotel restaurant freezer. It's a death Martin believes could have been prevented.
To know that I had to bury my child because of someone, I couldn't receive help, but maybe if I could have received this help, she could be here today.
In a lawsuit filed last week, Martin demands compensation in excess of $50 million. It names the hotel, the restaurant, and a private security company as co-defendants. Attorney Jeffrey Feiger presented blown-up photographs of the freezer door, alleging it was inadvertently locked from the outside after Kenneka went in.
Through pure negligence, someone noticed that the doors in the kitchen were open. They locked them like they should have been locked. They locked the freezer, and unfortunately, they locked Kenneka into the freezer.
The theory, however, contradicts hours of surveillance video released by Rosemont police in the aftermath of Jenkins' death, which apparently shows that after she rounded the kitchen corner where the freezer was kept, no one else entered the area until her body was found. Her cause of death determined to have been hypothermia, with alcohol and drug abuse established as significant contributing factors. A spokesperson for the hotel today called Kenneka Jenkins' death a tragedy, but said that the lawsuit is frivolous and has no merit, insisting that they will fight it vigorously. Neither the restaurant nor the security firm involved have responded to our messages.